Hi lovelies and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for all the love and support. To those people that share my videos and leave commentaries and also educate you guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. All right, lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where pan-colored people is actually educating themselves about black people, black culture, and every other thing in between. And I was just able to put out some of those stitches. I'm just gonna roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Alright lovelies, let's dive into it.
The story of Juneteenth starts on June 19, 1865, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Act ended slavery in Confederate States. Major General Gordon Granger and Union soldiers delivered the news that slavery had ended to 250,000 people who were still enslaved in Texas. Black Americans celebrated. Freedom brought huge progress in the years after the war. Literacy rates jumped 70% in the subsequent 40 years, and 22 black Americans were elected to federal government. But when Reconstruction ended in 1877, attempts to build communities were met with violent attempts to restore the power imbalance of the pre-civil rights years. Throughout the 1900s, Juneteenth celebrations continued, highlighting advancements within the family and community and honoring ancestors. In 2016, Pe.Ple, an activist in Fort Worth, Texas, set out to make Juneteenth an official holiday by walking from her home in Texas to Washington, D.C. She reached Washington by walking 2.5 miles a day, representing the number of years it took for news of emancipation to reach Texas. In 2021, Lee's campaign was successful. President Biden signed legislation making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Today, Juneteenth is an opportunity to celebrate Black Americans' contribution to American culture and honor the continuing quest for freedom, justice, and equality.
A lot of people talk about how black people have an outsized impact on culture. I would argue that they are American culture, right? Every good part of American culture comes originally from black people. Our economic foundation, if you read The Half Has Never Been Told by Edward Baptiste, it talks about how in the 1800s and the 1900s, we really benefited from heavily subsidized, essentially free labor, right? Slavery's impact cannot be understated in our ability to grow this nation at such a rapid rate. We owe them everything, right? And from slavery, from that comes all of the modern music we love, right? The blues, jazz, all born out of a time when black people had no hope for the future, right? So they would sing, and all of that became the music that is loved internationally. If you go anywhere in the world, the American music that people are listening to all comes from black people, right? So when there's any controversy about this Juneteenth, I really want people to think long and hard about where this country would be without black people. Essentially nowhere, right? We definitely wouldn't be cool, right? Well, you wouldn't be able to go to a cafe in Amsterdam or a nightclub in Bangkok and listen to things that are familiar to you. All of that is due to black people.
Somebody tell me why we celebrate Juneteenth. I'm not against it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't celebrate Juneteenth. But I saw a video with Charleston White this morning. I know, before you even go at me, I know a lot of people hate Charleston White. But he said something in his clip about how like slavery was actually ended 2 years before Juneteenth. I believe January 1863 is when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And I know that didn't end slavery, but that was like the start of the end of slavery. And then like he says, and I've heard, then if you Google it, it says that Juneteenth is actually in recognition of the day that the last group of slaves, I guess, in Galveston, Texas, found out that they were free. And I don't know if that means that they had already been free and they just found out, or if they were finally freed on that day. Because initially in my head, it makes sense to celebrate the day that the Emancipation Proclamation, which was like the turning point, that's when I would think you would celebrate. But then if this date is the date that like finally everyone was freed, that makes sense. So I'm genuinely asking here, is Juneteenth the day that the last slaves were freed, or is it a symbol of all of the slaves being freed? Because that's when the last group found out. I know there are people out there that know way more about this than me, and I would rather hear it from people who live it and experience it than to read conflicting articles online all day.
Day. For those in the Black community, I hope you get to celebrate it in a way that feels good to you. To the white people who are angry about Juneteenth, I have a few things to say. One, the reason we need Juneteenth is because of people like you. Two, no one is blaming you for slavery. You weren't there. The Black community knows that. They aren't stupid. They just need it acknowledged. The atrocities of slavery. Which leads to three, Juneteenth is important because it helps us to recognize that the legacy of slavery still lives today. It's called racism. It's real. It happens on a regular basis. Acknowledge it, and us white folks need to fix it. And four, you don't get to bitch about Juneteenth and then enjoy your day off.
If you're a white person, there's an incredible complexity that comes with celebrating Juneteenth. We know and can celebrate the fact that there was an emancipation of slaves. And yet we also know that slavery was not abolished. It's both and. Because our nation has refused to truly reckon with the fallout of chattel slavery, which is evidenced by the ongoing reality of systemic racism, outrage about critical race theory, the complete and total absence of anything resembling reparations, as well as the fact that some states still allow slavery as punishment for a crime. Acknowledgements for holidays like Juneteenth, no matter how grand and widespread in the culture, will always be whitewashed. So on this Juneteenth, while there is cause for celebration that chattel slavery has been abolished in this country, may those of us that are white pause long and hard before we speak about anything in terms of the progress we've made regarding racial justice in this country. That fight has been long, painful, and is far from over.
Hey, last post of the day, and maybe my last Juneteenth video. This whole thing is quite exhausting. I want to make it clear to people who don't support Juneteenth and to anybody else who wants to listen that the Black community did not ask for Juneteenth to be a holiday. Juneteenth has been celebrated since 1887 or whenever the first one was. And I remember growing up and I remember hearing about Juneteenth festivals and come do this, come do that, it's Juneteenth. It's always been something that's been celebrated within the Black community. Fast forward, George Floyd happened. The Black community said, hey, we want some police reform. The quick trigger that too many police officers have when they see an unarmed Black man, the knee-jerk reaction to kill is out of control, and we would like that addressed. So they got together and said, we'll give you Juneteenth. How about Juneteenth? How about a federal holiday? Okay. I mean, I was gonna celebrate anyway, and I guess a day off if I happen to be a federal worker is cool. But could we have something a little bit more meaningful and maybe not quite so performative, and maybe not something that's gonna just further piss off the other side because they're like, why the heck do we have this holiday? Could we do something of substance? And yes, that was my president that did that. So, you know, I think it's great that it's a holiday, but it's not what was needed, it's not what was wanted, and it's not doing anything to make any real change in the world. I just wanted to make that part of the whole story pretty clear. But since it is a holiday, I think celebrating it is a fantastic thing to do by doing the things I told you in the original video, like supporting Black businesses, giving money to content creators and other individuals, not just on Juneteenth, but every day.
So lovelies, as we all know that this Juneteenth has, caused a lot of, controversy. A lot of people are having mixed feelings about it. A lot of people were asking questions of, oh my God, why are we gonna, why do people celebrate Juneteenth? A lot of people, also were the fact that they were underrepresented during the Juneteenth. This was coming from Mexican people, and so many pan-colored people also were like, why is it that black people celebrating everything? They're celebrating Juneteenth, they're celebrating Black History Day, they are just celebrating and nothing of such is being celebrated about, the which nobody is actually holding anyone captive not to celebrate whatsoever you want to celebrate in your life. So I decided to put it up here about, Juneteenth and why it's been celebrated and why is, mostly for Black Americans. Because there's this video that have been going around on TikTok, all over social media, that, Mexican people were actually complaining that they were underrepresented on Juneteenth. And this actually, brought me to question why. Why do you feel that? Why do you feel underrepresented if this is not all about you? This is not all about, every other person but, Black American people that, this is just their own celebration, and any other person should be as a form of supportive, not trying to make the celebration to be centered on their own. So Juneteenth is actually a celebration that is meant for Black Americans, to celebrate their freedom, the enslaved people. And talking about you have been underrepresented, with the Kendrick Lamar and all of that during the Juneteenth, concerts, it's something that that is unspeakable, because this is not all about you. Oftentimes Black people support other people's, traditional celebrations and all of that, historical celebration, but they desist from making it all about themselves. They're only going to support you from afar, and nobody's, wanting to center the celebration all about them. So why is it that anytime Black people want to actually celebrate something, they want to have something for themselves, a lot of people want to center it about themselves. They want it to be about them and all of that. This is just something that is hilarious, seriously. And there's one good thing about these teachings that I was able to put together. A lot of pan-colored people are beginning to educate themselves, which I feel, and it makes me feel some kind of of your feeling. Most people are beginning to educate themselves. If it would take people like this to actually inform and school their brothers and sisters, to actually make them understand, then I think the world will actually be a better place. Seriously. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So why not just share this video? And I also want to use this medium to say a very big shout out to my newer subscribers, to those people that share my videos, that also educate each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Okay, lovelies, I will see you when I upload the next one. Watch up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.